The problem is also people tender. And then I realized the project is much bigger than what I can actually afford. Now they can't supply us because they haven't got money to go and buy to supply us. And I think 9 or 10 times that is the problem with service delivery, that your contractors can't actually service their contracts with the city of Ekurhuleni, and then they blame no payments, but we've got a 30-day account and you want payment after 15 days to help you with your cash flow. It doesn't work that way.
Feel the heat. No holding back, no playing it safe. We're taking up space, we're setting the pace. Louder than ever. Here we come. Unfiltered.
As you know, we do have unfiltered conversations on this platform, Unfiltered AF, and our intention is to chat to entrepreneurs, business owners, community leaders, as well as public figures. Now, this man needs no introduction, especially in the Ekurhuleni region of Gauteng. Isak Berg, as you all know him, is the guy who sorts out problems. He's inundated with when there's a power outage. I'm sure his phone goes ballistic, but he's also the chairman of Okmol. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
Isak, welcome.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
So, Isak, tell me quickly, what does this mean, chairperson of Okmol?
Yeah, Okmol is an oversight or a standing committee in the city of Ekurhuleni. The committee does oversight on the mayor's office and on the office of the city manager. And I think just to highlight one of the things, one of the questions asked was about the city manager's overseas trip that was not paid by Ekurhuleni, that we investigated. And I think that it's all over the news now that she's been investigated because of that trip. And I think it wasn't the only trip. I think we inquired about 3 trips that she undertook. And there was a moratorium on travelling overseas by the city of Ekurhuleni, and it was a concern to us that she could travel overseas without payments being made, and I think that's one of the roles that we play in the city of Ekurhuleni. The mayor, how can I put it, I might not be his biggest fan at the moment because of the questions we ask his office. And again this morning they asked for more time on questions that we've asked on statements he made during the State of the City address, that we want to hold him accountable. You know, it's quickly to talk and to tell people what you're going to do and then you don't do it.
Yeah.
And that's what I think I'm successful because I don't promise.
Yes.
So people, if they vote for me or they support me, they know what I've done for them. You know, I'm not here to backmouth political parties and things like that, but you know, some of them are not up to the task, and voters must know that. So yeah, local government is very interesting. I've been a resident of Alberton since 1969. Sure. So it's my town.
Yes.
Even the ANC and other councillors in Ekurhuleni will call me the mayor of Alberton. You know, although it is the mayor in the city of Ekurhuleni, but it's just my passion. Every morning when I wake up, if I can do good or assist one person today to make their life easier.
Yes.
You know, there's a purpose for me to wake up every morning if I can do that. So.
Yes. So Isak, I think you touched on something very important here, that you are a resident firstly.
Yes.
So you're not only fighting for, how can I put this very eloquently? You're not fighting because there's a paycheck involved. You are fighting because you're passionate about the town and the area we live in, and you also reside in. Isn't that true?
That's true, and that's correct. Alberton is my passion. You know, if you look, you can go to other towns in Ekurhuleni, and they've deteriorated over the last 10 years so much that I actually get a shock when I drive in those towns. And I'm trying to keep Alberton away from that, from deteriorating, and it's not easy. Let me tell you, not easy. I'm not in control of funds, and to make sure I must also go and beg if I want things done in Alberton. But in the position where I am at the moment is that I can negotiate, and I think I'm a very good negotiator when things need to be done. So yeah.
I know you need to correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sure a lot of residents in Alberton and Ekurhuleni are asking the same question. When you do reach out to a relevant councillor, let's call it that, and there's a whole back and forth or lackadaisy approach to it, and I'm not going to mention names, that's not the intention of this conversation. Do you think that's normal for them to say, you know what, just send an email, and there's no follow through to that, or what is expected from the Alberton resident to ensure that services are there, the services that everybody in Alberton pays for?
Yeah, I belong to a ratepayers organisation. I don't belong to a political party. Although IRASA had to register to participate in elections, we're not a political party. The problem with councillors that belong to a political party is they serve the political party first. We've got a situation now where we can't get our budget approved because of instructions from above by political parties not to support it. And although those same political parties' councillors will tell you it's the best budget in the last 25, 26 years, but they are not allowed to support it because of the leadership of their party.
Sure. So, and a very contentious issue in Alberton as well. I know we're inundated with potholes in Alberton, traffic lights that are not functioning. Especially if you look on Swartkoppies all the way down to Newmarket, that area there. Just to mention a few. Now, where does that responsibility lie? Who's responsible ultimately to sort that out? And why are certain people's hands cut off because of it?
Okay, let me put it. You get two type of councillors in the city of Ekurhuleni. You get the ward councillor, where the people said, I voted for that councillor in my ward, and that councillor needs to serve the ward and to assist us. I'm a proportional councillor, so I help from Nigel to Alberton.
Yeah.
People must realize that I actually got 800 votes in Nigel in the last election.
Sure.
For all the work that I've done in Nigel. So it's easier for a ward councillor just to concentrate on their ward, which is not that big.
Exactly.
Where I've got to serve the whole of Ekurhuleni from Boksburg. Boksburg, we got 2,000 votes. In Nigel, we got 800 votes. And it's because of work that I've done in those areas, especially when it came to rates and taxes and the valuation of properties. I've done a lot of work in that to help businesses and property owners to make sure that their properties are valued correctly. The other thing is that you get provincial government and you've got local government. Now, the traffic lights on Swartkoppies Road is not a local government road, it's a provincial road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So those traffic lights belong to the Gauteng province.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to say it on air because I've said it in his face before,
Okay.
that Lesufi must be the useless leader ever around. You cannot give him anything to do. He likes to appear on camera and make promises, and he doesn't keep any of those promises. I've written so many emails. I actually gave his email address out so that the public can flood him with emails to tell him that he's incompetent and that he needs to come to the party and fix whatever belongs to province. It's not only traffic lights, you know, your clinics all falls under provincial government. It's not
Even clinics in Alberton?
Yeah, even clinics in Alberton.
Okay.
It's a provincial function, but they delegate or they ask Ekurhuleni to assist them with that. But the money and everything comes from them. So if there's no medicine, it's not a local government problem, it's provincial government that don't allocate funds to buy the medicine and things like that. So people must know what is a local government function and what's a provincial function. So unfortunately, the traffic lights at the R59, I've reported it so many times, and it's just being useless in not getting it fixed. But the other thing that I want to say is that when people vote, they must really vote. Don't vote for a political party or vote for that one person that if you call him, he's going to do something about it. I don't say it's me, but in the local elections in November, analyze your councillors that's standing in the election and do research on them and say, if I've got problems or if I'm in trouble, is this person going to assist me?
Exactly.
And make sure those councillors stay in your town at least. They don't have to stay in the ward. Because if you drive around in your town, you can make notes, there's a problem, there's a problem. But if they don't stay in your town, they hardly come here. How must they service the ward and assist the people that voted for them?
Exactly. So Isak, quickly, I'm sure your phone and Facebook, from what I can see, is flooded on a daily basis with requests. Roughly, if you have to give it a number, how many requests do you receive in one day?
Well, if I average 300 emails a day, it takes me in the morning when I arrive at the office 2 to 2.5 hours just to go through the emails, allocate them to the correct departments and to make sure that they get them and to resolve problems. A lot of people bring their accounts problems to me. You know, there is an office that deal with it, but you know, you sit with the elderly. They don't know who to ask. They don't know where to go to. They don't have transport to get to that. So it's easy to send me an email, and I can sort it out for them without wasting their time. You know, so and that gives me a kick in life. You know, a person that's got a problem, and an hour later I can tell him it's resolved. Don't worry about it.
Awesome.
And yeah, that gives me a purpose to wake up every morning.
I'm sure you deal with a couple of difficult residents as well. How do you handle with that type of conflict where a resident is here because they've been boiling now for a couple of days or a couple of weeks because issues aren't resolved?
No.
How do you deal with that?
I'm not sensitive.
Okay.
You know, I 9 out of 10 times when a resident shouts at me, I put myself in his shoes. I would have done the same.
Exactly.
You know, so don't be sensitive if you want to do this job, because you're going to fail. My children always tells me, Dad, I think it's time to resign or it's time to retire. That's the word. And you know what I said to them? I love what I'm doing, and let me carry on as long as I'm healthy and I can do it. And I've built a network over 26 years. You must remember, I'm the longest serving councillor in the history of Ekurhuleni. Awesome. Yeah, I was there when Ekurhuleni was established on the 5th of December 2000.
Sure.
And I'm still there. And every election, the DA and the ANC and the EFF will tell me, goodbye, we won't see you again. And then just for me to rock up again and say, I'm back. You know, so, no, I will still do it. And I'm trying to be every day better than the previous day.
Awesome. Isa, quickly tell me, what can residents in Alberton do to also bring change? Because this is not only, is it fair to say that we need to come to realization that local government's not necessarily going to sort out what needs to be sorted out due to various reasons? Let's not get into politics of that right now. But is there something residents can do to make a change, to make a difference?
Yeah, you know, it was funny. I had a councillor from another party came to see me in Meyersdal at one of the coffee shops. And he drove through Alberton. Obviously, he got off at the R59 and drove through, and he said, your place is so neat. I said, we can still improve on it. He said, but in my area, I don't know what you guys are doing better here than in other areas. And the one thing is, just keep your property nice and clean and around it. Just do that. If your neighbor's an old person and just cut their lawn, man. Just cut their pavement while you're cutting your pavement type of thing. Just keep the place clean and the other things will happen. I know there's problems with potholes, but we've also have put a lot of pressure on the city on when we did a costing on the asphalt, how much it actually cost. And I think we can actually supply it ourselves at less than half the price. So they have put money aside in this budget that must be approved for us to have our own asphalt or tar
Depot?
depot, where they make it themselves and they actually roll it out to fix potholes and things like that. You see, the problem is also people tender. And then I realized the project is much bigger than what I can actually afford. Now they can't supply us because they haven't got money to go and buy to supply us. And I think 9 or 10 times that is the problem with service delivery, that your contractors can't actually service their contracts with the city of Ekurhuleni, and then they blame no payments, but we've got a 30-day account and you want payment after 15 days to help you with your cash flow. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. So is it only a cash flow problem for contractors, or is it an inability to vet contractors properly?
They don't have all the facts, or they will actually go in very low to get the tender, and then they will realize they are not going to make money, or they're even going to pay in. So that's a problem. And I think that the city of Ekurhuleni must do more research on companies before they give them tenders or contracts.
Exactly. For the local business owner, and this is what Unfiltered is about as well, is business owners. For the Alberton business owner and Ekurhuleni business owner, is there a future in Alberton for them?
Yeah, I think so. I think, Alberton is still situated between highways. So it's a nice place to do business. You can get on a highway and go to Durban. You can go to Cape Town. You can go to the Ekurhuleni, Tshwane, all those areas by having quick access to highways. The other problem is that we lost a few businesses to Midvaal and those areas, and but it was also the metro took too long to address their problems. And don't chase your businesses away. We've got very, very good businesses in our road, and 4 years ago that the Business Forum in Ekurhuleni wanted to sign a memorandum of understanding with the metro, where they would put money into the industrial areas like Isando and L Road and keep them maintained and stuff. And that thing just fell flat. And I blame the DA mayor and the ANC mayor because of that. There's no world. If you get an opportunity like that, where your top companies, I'm talking Coca-Cola and SA Breweries and all those companies that say, listen, those potholes are damaging our vehicles. Give us a memorandum of understanding that we can actually take over the industrial areas and keep them nice and clean and fix all the potholes and maintain it. I would have signed that document within 48 hours if I was the mayor, and still that document hasn't been signed.
So why do you think that's the case?
I think it's just a lack of understanding or a lack of losing power. I don't know what it is. But the more people you can get on board to help you, the better for everybody. And the other thing is just that this thing where they created metropolitan metros is an evil. I knew why they did it. In the beginning, it was hard for me to understand because there were towns in the East Rand that was at that stage bankrupt. and they needed to make the pool bigger and to have more money to actually assist everybody. And Alberton unfortunately paid a price for that. You know, we had clean audits, unqualified audits, all those years, and we gave contract to local businesses within our town, which is not happening now. If you look at the list, how many companies outside Ekurhuleni is getting contracts, it just baffles me. To me, that should not happen. You should negotiate with businesses that is situated in your metro and sign contracts with them. Even if you need to negotiate prices with them, if they're more expensive than the company in Tshwane or other metros, Joburg, call your local business in and say, this is it, why are you so much more expensive than the outside companies? We want to support you, but with your prices we can't support you. And negotiate with them and make sure we keep the businesses and the contracts within our metro.
So how can that change? How can local government tenders fall back in the hands of local residents?
Well, that is not in the hands of councillors. Councillors are not allowed to actually look at contracts or get involved in contracts. They will fire you immediately. But there's a bid evaluation committee that look at all contracts and things like that. And those officials that sit on those committees must apply their minds. And that is also where a lot of things are happening that should not be happening, where companies are getting contracts which they should not get, type of thing. It depends on who's sitting on those committees and who they affiliated to, which political parties and things like that.
So Isak, if we go to the next topic, Ekurhuleni is quite an expansive piece of land.
Yeah.
How big is it in comparison to other metros in South Africa?
No, it's the biggest in size. It's the biggest, not population, but size. It's the biggest metro in South Africa. So, I mean, you can think for yourself. It runs from Nigel, Springs, Deduza, Midstream, Alberton. You know, it's a very, very, very big area. So,
I'm pleasantly surprised that Midstream falls under Ekurhuleni.
yeah, it's part of Ekurhuleni.
Do you think a lot of people know that?
The
Except the Midstream
voters,
residents.
they know that. The Midstream residents and Kempton Park residents, they know that, yeah.
Okay.
Ekurhuleni also knows that,
Yeah, well,
because
I would
they
hope so.
collect their rates and taxes there, yeah. Okay. So, it's a big area, and I think they made it too big.
Okay.
You know, the thing is, the bigger the metros, the more controls you lose. And you need to, if you can't control an area, you've lost the battle.
Yeah.
And I think this is where we're at the moment. If you can just think of for yourself the amount of water pipes, the amount of electricity cables,
Sewage.
and things, and sewage. You know, Ekurhuleni is very fortunate that Erwat actually belongs to Ekurhuleni. So, your sewer is going to go up by 8% this year if the budget is approved, but it's also to expand Erwat to assist them. You know, I think people take things for granted. You flush your toilet and you don't even think what's happening, you know, where is it flowing to, which plant it's, and then it must be pumped to Erwat and cleared and to grey water and things like that. So it's a big operation to run a city.
Just a quick question. If I don't know if this is public knowledge, but the budget for Ekurhuleni per annum, is that public knowledge?
Yeah. You can. Yeah, the budget will be now around about 71 billion rand
To run the whole of Ekurhuleni.
to run the whole of Ekurhuleni. And you must also remember, you have your budget, but you don't have the 71 million rand on the 1st of July. You're getting your money monthly, and you must allocate it.
Yeah.
So you get this month on the 21st, you've allocated all your money for potholes, or you've allocated all your money for that. You must wait for the next month end to come in that you collect money again to allocate it and start fresh for every month. So it's a huge operation to run.
Is that budget, is that from national, or how does that work exactly?
No, your operational budget is most of the money is from your residents.
Okay, from taxes and rates and so forth.
Taxes and the profit you make on the electricity to maintain the infrastructure on the electricity, water is the same. But you get grants from national and provincial governments. That's grants. So that we normally use for capital projects because you are not allowed to use it for any other purpose than it's allocated for. So national government will give us money now and say this is to upgrade your water systems. I can't use that money tomorrow to build a few RDP houses and put people in there. You must use it for the purpose, and if you don't use it, you must give it back to National Treasurer. And that also frustrates me. That points to bad planning.
Yeah.
If you don't use the money you're getting from national government.
Because it's for betterment.
Yeah, it's for betterment.
Exactly.
And it helps your residents in Ekurhuleni. It's to their benefit.
Exactly.
So plan properly and use the money.
Okay.
And make sure that you use it for the purposes what's allocated to you.
Awesome. Isak, we need to draw to a close now as we've spent a good amount of time. So one last thought. What can the residents of Alberton and Ekurhuleni look forward to in the near future?
Yeah, I don't make promises. I don't make promises. But look, I'm going to stand on the elections on the 4th of November.
Okay.
And to the residents that I've helped, I don't want to say you owe me your vote, but please, I need that vote so that I can actually help other people as well. You know, I don't ask questions when I help residents. I don't care who you voted for. I mean, I've had one voter that stays in Brackenhurst that said I assisted the voter. He's a big ANC supporter. But his family voted for me and he voted for the ANC because of principle, what the ANC done for him before.
Okay.
But his family made that change already and said, I'm going to vote for the person that actually helped me.
Awesome. Isak, thank you so much for being on Unfiltered AF today. I'm sure I actually want to ask a question on our channel, guys. If you've dealt with Isak before, and I know there's hundreds, maybe thousands of individuals who's asked you for help in the, 26 years?
Yeah,
the Ekurhuleni has been in existence now. So drop a comment on this episode, what Isak has meant to you, and let's keep it clean and positive, please, guys. So this is all what Unfiltered is about: positivity, upliftment, and especially this episode, the upliftment of Alberton and Ekurhuleni. If you're a business owner in Alberton and Ekurhuleni, and you would love to see Ekurhuleni go further, become even better, let us put our support behind the people who can achieve and accomplish that, but also let us do our part in making a difference. Isak, thank you so much for being on Unfiltered today, and for being honest and transparent with the conversation we had. Guys, so remember, please like, share, and subscribe Unfiltered AF to see more exciting and inspiring episodes like this. Till next time, cheers.
Feel the heat. No holding back, no playing it safe. We're taking up space, we're setting the pace. Louder than ever.